Shannon Sharp, Terrell Davis, and Marino had the Marks brothers and Nate Moore. But they only had those prospective guys for Marino for the first 3-4 years of his career, and Elway for the last 3-4 years of his career. So pretty much that area between for Marino from like the late 80s to the rest of his career, and Elway from his early in his career, from the start of his career to the like last 2-3 years before he retired, they had nobody to throw to. I will say this, and this is the best way of putting it. These two guys had no offensive talent around them for most of their careers. And I think that makes this matchup even tougher to call because, well, what if you gave them both the same team? I think that if you gave them both the same team, Marino's team would put up more points and would probably win more regular season games. But I think in the playoffs, I think Elway's team would do better because Elway's more of a natural leader than Marino is by a large margin. And I don't think there's much doubt about that. He's so much better of a leader. I mean, look at all the times. I know Marino had a bunch of game-winning drives, but they were more or less a couple of big plays, and it was like a touchdown differential or field goal differential takes him down for the win. Elway's drives are like 18, 19, 20-point deficits he overcame as a quarterback. And you look at some of the hostile conditions which he had to do it, the drive, the one game, the drive. And if you have to look at some of the other games, he had incredible comebacks and heroic moments. That outdoes Dan Marino here. The fact that he won 2 rings outdoes him. I know people look at the numbers and say, well, Marino's numbers were better and that he obviously should be ranked higher. I don't buy that. I believe that Elway was the better quarterback. I believe he was more consistent over a long period of time because at the end of their career, Elway was still putting up some good seasons and Marino's numbers were down the shitter. But at the same time, you have to go with the guy that did better when it mattered most. And Elway did a lot better when it mattered most. So I think you take Elway. Which leads you to the final bracket, Elway versus Montana. For a long time ago when I was really into football history, I still am now, just not to the same extent, I would have probably said, this is more of a close match. But, I really don't think that anymore. Elway was better in the clutch, which is tough to say, but you look at these two. They're easily the 2 greatest clutch quarterbacks of all time by a wide margin. And I don't think there's any real doubt about that. I mean, those two led their teams to some incredible wins in the last seconds of the game, time and time again. But let me put it this way. You have to go with, what they did with what they had. And I know Montana had better teams than Elway did, but then again, look at it. Montana won 4 rings. Elway only has 2. And it's just really hard to make an argument for Elway over Marino when Elway's 2-3 in Super Bowls and Elway or Montana, I should say, and Montana is 4-0. Especially because in that Super Bowl in 1989 to 1990, the 49ers were beating them 44-3 like halfway through the third quarter. If you're going to talk about it that way, it's not even close to compare. So that does it for my bracket. I have Joe Montana moving to the Final Four, and I will have him take on Tom Brady in the quarterback Final Four on Bracketology. Let's see. Coming up very shortly, I will be doing the Millennials bracket. That is the other top half on the other side. That features some of the great quarterbacks to kind of bridge the gap between the Montana, Elway, Marino era and preceded the Brady, Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, and Drew Brees era. So stay tuned. I hope you've enjoyed this so far. I'll be back very, very shortly.